Okay, so when you think of a giraffe, what comes to mind? Majestic, right? Impossibly tall and quiet, like really quiet. For centuries, that silence was a huge mystery. But it turns out these silent giants have been keeping secrets, and we're only just now starting to listen in.
I mean, seriously, what does a giraffe sound like? It seems like a simple question, but it's one that has stumped people for a very, very long time. We all know a lion roars, an elephant trumpets, but a giraffe? For most of history, the answer was just nothing at all. So let's dive into this long-held myth. The idea that giraffes are completely mute wasn't just some old wives' tale. No, this was a widely accepted belief even among scientists for generations.
You can just picture it, right? This silent creature gliding stoically across the savannah. That image got totally ingrained in our minds. And their whole vibe, their calm demeanor, not a lot of obvious facial expressions, it just fueled the idea that they must communicate only through sight and body language. And people got pretty creative trying to explain this silence. One of the big theories was that their iconic long neck just made it physically impossible to generate enough airflow to make a sound. Another idea pointed to the laryngeal nerve, that's the one connecting the brain to the voice box, and suggested it was simply too long to function properly, kind of like a condition you see in some thoroughbred horses. But the story, as it turns out, is way more complex. The silent giant myth was about to be challenged, all thanks to new technology and a handful of very, very patient researchers.
This quote actually comes from the beginning of a research paper from 2015. Think about that. It perfectly captures how, even in the 21st century, this was a genuine scientific puzzle, one that a team of researchers decided they were going to solve.
And what they found was extraordinary. After analyzing hundreds of hours of audio from 3 different zoos, they discovered this, a low-frequency hum. This was a sound that had never been recorded before, not even by the zookeepers who worked with them every day. And get this, it was only heard at night, after the giraffes were settled into their individual stalls.
And that hum was just the beginning. We now know that giraffes produce a whole spectrum of sounds. On one side, you have the audible ones we can hear, like the hum and some grunts and snorts. But on the other side, there are infrasonic sounds, communications, like between a mother and her calf, that are completely below the range of human hearing. So why do giraffes even need a voice? Well, it turns out these sounds serve some incredibly important functions for their survival and for navigating their complex social lives.
Think about it. That hum at night could be their way of staying in touch when it's dark and they can't see each other. Those low-frequency sounds, they're perfect for long-distance calls across the savannah, where their social groups are constantly splitting up and getting back together. And those super gentle infrasonic calls are a private, safe way for a mother to communicate with her calf.
And this chart really shows the physics behind it. It lays out the relationship between an animal's head size and the frequencies it can hear. You see, larger animals, like elephants, are specialists in low-frequency sound, while giraffes, with their huge skulls, fit this pattern perfectly, which makes them really well adapted to send and receive these long-distance calls. This whole discovery just opens up a fascinating question. If we were completely deaf to giraffe communication for so long, what other crucial information are we missing? And it's not just about sound. It's about understanding the entire experience of an animal, especially for those living in our care, like in zoos. Which brings us to this broader topic of animal welfare in zoos, and one of the biggest questions out there, the visitor effect. The impact our constant presence has on the animals. So how do you measure an animal's stress without causing more stress? Well, a study from the Oregon Zoo highlights a really modern, non-invasive method. Researchers simply collect fecal samples and analyze them for stress hormones, specifically something called fecal glucocorticoid metabolites, or FGM. It's a reliable way to get a window into an animal's physiological state without ever bothering them. And the findings were not what you might expect. The research looked at everything from loud after-hours events to the total silence of the COVID-19 closure. And in both situations, there were no significant changes in stress hormones for animals like giraffes and cheetahs. The simple assumption that more people equals more stress just didn't hold up. And that leads to the most crucial takeaway from this research. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. An animal's response to its environment is incredibly individual. What might be stressful for one animal could actually be enriching for another, even within the same species.
So, from discovering a hidden language to understanding individual welfare, it's crystal clear that we have to learn to listen to animals in entirely new ways.
I mean, this timeline just shows the incredible pace of discovery. We went from centuries of believing giraffes were mute to, in just the last decade, discovering their humming and infrasonic calls. And right now, a brand new research project is underway that aims to fully decode their entire vocal system. How amazing is that?
And that leaves us with a final thought. The story of the giraffe's voice is such a powerful reminder that the natural world is full of complexities we can't even perceive yet. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are out there, just waiting for us to finally learn how to listen?